Hello my dear friends, and today with LatinDutch we are traveling to Argentina. Yes, we will be making a chimichurri. What I hear from my Argentinian friends is that yes, it can generate some controversy every time there is a barbecue. Our ingredients today are quite simple. We start today with a bunch of parsley, and we're using the curly one. 2 garlic cloves, a teaspoon of oregano, and I'm using the dehydrated one, but the fresh one as usual will do much better. 1 Madame Jeanette or habanero chili. I personally like it quite spicy, but feel free to adjust or skip according to your taste. Salt to taste, 1 to 2 cups of olive oil, and the better quality you can use for this recipe, then the better will it be. 1/4 to 1/2 cup of red wine vinegar or apple cider vinegar. Either one of those will do just fine here. And from there we go straight to our cutting table. And we will be needing a small food processor to do this, just like the one that I have here. We have our parsley already washed and we have removed the stems as usual. Remember, parsley stems are fibrous, so they're not the best for this recipe. And I start by adding the vinegar to my food processor container, so I have some liquid to aid the blending when we start. And for the garlic, I like to slice it first. And it's not that the food processor can't handle it, but sometimes it may leave some larger chunks, and I really don't want somebody to find a chunk of garlic in their food, as it can be a little bit aggressive. So feel free to skip this step if this is okay with you. But after that, we move it to the recipients as well. Now I move to work with the chili. And as I mentioned before, I'm going with a rather spicy one, as I like my chimichurri on the spicy side, and I like the fresh flavors that it brings. But feel free to change it or skip it altogether if you don't like the spicy stuff. And right after, I move it to the container. Also, please note that I remove the seeds and the veins from the chili, as that's where most of the aggressive part of it is. Now let's move to the parsley, and I'm going to try to pack as much of it as I can in my container. But if I have to split the process in 2 chunks, that's perfectly fine. And although I'm saying try to squeeze as much as possible, I'm also mindful of not drowning the food processor. So find the right balance. Then I add the oregano, and as I mentioned, I'm using the dehydrated one, but all in all, the fresh one will always bring that brightness that aromatic herbs can bring forward. So if you can use the fresh one, it's even better. Then I add the salt and the first cup of olive oil. And how do I know if I need more? Well, after blending, I can check on the texture and adjust as needed. Then let's cover the processor and mix at low speed until you get a fine texture. And although texture is also a matter of taste, I like to say, if you like it a little bit thicker or a little bit thinner, well, it's up to you. And if you notice that it's turning a bit white, that's not a problem. The emulsion between vinegar and olive oil will do that. But after letting it sit for a while and rest, then it will come back to that bright green color that we're looking for. And at this midpoint, you can check and adjust for salt, oil, and vinegar. And please be mindful that this is my version of the chimichurri, and I know that others will like to make it with bay leaves or with coriander or even with tomatoes. And that's perfectly fine. You know, there's plenty of variety of this recipe. And this is how it looks like after letting it rest and settle. And this recipe will be enough for the barbecue that we have later today, a good portion of it actually, but it's also enough to save for later. And while I haven't checked for how long will it last in the fridge, I know it is quite long. And I have even read that it can last up to 3 months. But hey, check the guidelines for food preservation or your location so you know what is best. And with this, my dear friends, we conclude this super easy to make recipe. I hope you liked it, and thanks again for following our channel, LatinDutch.